Raxdflipnote draws some pretty funny little guys. But did you know that one of these little guys can transcend reality and command the very laws of physics themselves? Brombus was a character introduced to the Raxd cinematic universe on March 30th, 2024, in the episode Royal Entertainment. While he seemed like a one-off gag, he ended up becoming a recurring character within the universe and quickly became a fan favorite, leading to Brombus getting his own story arcs throughout the great year of Flipnotes and even getting the finale of the year dedicated to him, with the episode Brombus vs. Landlord. It was this iconic battle, with Brombus casually defying gravity and demonstrating insane physical feats, that got me thinking, just how powerful does Brombus get? Clearly he doesn't abide by the same laws of physics as the rest of us mere mortals, so what are his upper limits? On that day, and by that day I mean a few days ago when I actually started thinking about this, I set off to answer a single question. How powerful is Brombus? Before we start, I should mention something. Raxdflipnote is a channel with over 1,000 animations, and it'd be difficult to sort through each one for Brombus sightings. Therefore, this video will be purely analyzing Brombus's feats in the critically acclaimed Flipnote movie, which compiles most of the animations on Raxd's channel and contains all of Brombus's major arcs, besides some minor exceptions that are important to this analysis. Without further ado, let's begin. To start powerscaling Brombus, we must refresh ourselves on just who Brombus is. Brombus is a red stick figure about half the height of a regular stick figure in the Raxd universe. He almost exclusively speaks in the charismatic gibberish, although he has been shown to speak fluent Japanese.
Wait, how are you talking like that?
Brombus may seem like an unassuming character when it comes to his feats, but on a closer look, you come to realize that even some of his casual actions are impossibly powerful. Let's start with speed, which is by far his least impressive stat. In Brombus vs. Landlord, we are going to be coming back to this one a lot, we instantly see that Brombus can chase down a fleeing landlord even after giving him an insane head start. By going frame by frame, we can see that the landlord ran past 5 rooms in about a second, and by taking the average length of an apartment, we can calculate that the landlord was moving at anywhere between 34 miles per hour and 61 miles per hour, depending on the room's exact widths. Brombus then easily caught up to the landlord in about half the time, meaning that Brombus was casually moving upwards of 122 miles per hour. However, this is quickly invalidated as we soon see Brombus do this. To put it simply, Brombus moved the length of a human in 1 frame, which is about a 20th of a second in this case. Basically, by taking in the average male height of 5 foot 9 inches, we can figure out that Brombus in this scene has an acceleration of 2,300 feet per second squared. By converting that into miles per hour after 1 full second of movement, this improves his speed from 122 miles per hour to 1,568 miles per hour, aka Mach 2. Still, if there was any stat that Brombus certainly lacked feats in, it would be his speed. Strength is where Brombus really starts to make his absurd power known. Coming back to Brombus vs. Landlord, towards the end of the fight, Brombus channels the power of the Gamble Core machine to deliver a devastating kick that ends the fight. Since we see Landlord shine like the stars after being kicked, I can only assume he reached said stars, which means that Brombus's kick launched this man across the observable universe into an entirely different galaxy. It only took 2 seconds for this travel to happen, meaning that if we assume he was kicked into our nearest celestial neighbor, that being Proxima Centauri, that means that Brombus launched Landlord at 2.12 light years per second. aka 21 quadrillion miles per hour. Now, a fair argument here is that Brombus was enhanced by the Gamble Core machine, meaning that this attack does not reflect his pure strength. But what if I told you that this insane calculation was lowballing it? Throughout the Raxd cinematic universe, one of the most powerful items we have seen is the legendary Tungsten Cube. This cube seemingly contains immeasurable weight, as it is seen crushing any creature placed beneath it, before pummeling through the ground until it presumably gets stuck in the gravitational well of the Earth's core. Even Brombus fell to the might of the Tungsten Cube, but he would not accept this fate. Brombus went on a silent training arc in the background from January 29th, 2025 all the way to July 17th. It was on this day that the Brombus plus Tungsten Cube plushie was revealed, which clearly shows Brombus having conquered the power of the cube. Even without the Gamble Core machine, current Brombus easily clears immeasurable strength, thanks to the fact that he could lift the Tungsten Cube alone. Durability is the most easily calculated stat that Brombus possesses, mainly because he doesn't have many durability feats in the first place. However, he does have one. He tanked the Tungsten Cube and acted completely unharmed immediately after. Since the Tungsten Cube has immeasurable weight and Brombus survived a direct hit from it, it's safe to assume he also has immeasurable durability, which you could also call immortality. Now, there is only one major stat left, hacks. But before we get to that, I'd like to go over some of the items we've seen Brombus use to amplify his physical abilities. Assuming we were judging Brombus at the pinnacle of his power, he'd have access to the following enhancements. The Fancy Brombus Kit, which gives him an accent and heavily amplifies his social manipulation abilities. Texas, which quadruples the height of Brombus along with decreasing the pitch of his voice, which obviously correlates to a major power increase. Trees, which cause Brombus to become invulnerable while he remains in them. Only members of a fire department have the ability to bypass this item. Brombus's sound system, which plays extremely loud music that disorients and annoys his opponents. Brombus is obviously immune to his own music. The Gamble Core machine, which spins to create a random effect on the battlefield. The only effect so far has been if the machine lands on fists, which allows Brombus to deliver his multi-solar system kick. And finally, the Tungsten Cube, which deals incredible damage to anyone hit by it and can pin/disable any creature. The only force in the universe that can remove the Tungsten Cube seems to be Brombus himself. There's no more putting it off. The singular stat that made me realize this video had to be made. Brombus's hacks. If you don't know what hacks is, it's basically the blanket term for any of a character's abilities that don't fall under any of the physical stats we've already mentioned. This means things like self-revival, miscellaneous powers, magic, and the like. For Brombus, he has quite a few different hacks we need to discuss. The first one, and the most obvious, is his social manipulation. When Brombus lets out a specific line of gibberish and performs this dance, all nearby creatures are compelled to agree with Brombus or laugh in response to him. The only character this ability seems to have no effect on is this cashier, but he was quickly overtaken by the power of the Fancy Brombus Kit. However, that's his weakest ability. Allow me to introduce what I have dubbed Brombosis, aka Brombus's ability to duplicate himself. And alongside that, let me introduce the Christmas Saga. The Christmas Saga was an innocent parody of the 12 Days of Christmas song, although it only lasted 7 episodes. On day 1, Brombus appears stuck in a tree, which may seem like an anti-feat, but since we know that trees make him invulnerable, Brombus is simply keeping himself safe as he prepares for day 2, in which he uses his Brombosis ability for the first time. By day 3, there were 12 clones in that tree. By day 4, they began to expand, reaching an uncountable number of Brombus clones and taking over multiple trees. By day 5,
This just in, we're hearing reports that the town of Kyleberg has been taken over by some sort of small creature infestation.
Then day 6.
Dude, they're telling us we need to evacuate! Like half the country's been taken over! I know, just let me find my shoe! Oh my god, it's already too late.
And then, it was over. Universal destruction at the hands of 27 octillion Brombus clones. Their mass exceeded 6.6 sextillion tons and imploded the Earth, and all that was left was Brombus. The actions of Brombus on a surface level alone scale him to universal tiers of power, but that isn't all. It's shown in Brombus vs. Landlord that Brombus can consume his clones to gain more power, with each one doubling his height and physical abilities. Assuming Brombus assimilated all of his clones he created over the Christmas Saga, all of his previous stats would become immeasurable or higher, and his size would probably outscale the universe he stood in. Not only that, but in the sequence after everything was destroyed on day 7, a mysterious being began talking to us, the viewer, about the capabilities of Brombus. This text cannot be from Brombus himself as he is incapable of speaking English, meaning that this message is likely directly from Raxd himself, the god of the Flipnote world that Brombus inhabited. Additionally, since Raxd did not appear before us himself, it's safe to assume that his physical form was annihilated by the sheer power of the Brombus clones, causing him to speak to us through this distorted robotic voice. He directly states to us that Brombus had become the most powerful force in the universe, and that all efforts to stop him were useless after day 5. Going back to day 5, that means that a mere 62,795 Brombus clones could effectively overpower the god of their world, and the 27 octillion that were created by day 7 were effectively 430 sextillion times more powerful than God, without the use of any of their power enhancing items. The situation became so unsalvageable that Raxd ended up creating a new universe, hence why the series continued. Although this did not stop Brombus, who persisted through universal erasure and willed himself back into existence. This doesn't even cover the fact that Brombus is potentially an outroversal threat. On July 23rd, 2025, Raxdflipnote posted a video in which it appears that Brombus had taken a physical form in our reality through his plushie and had kidnapped Raxd, meaning that Brombus now stands at the same level of power as the one above all and is now the highest creative force in his universe. Since the Flipnote world cannot persist without Raxd, and Raxd is now under the control of Brombus, Brombus now dictates every aspect of the Raxdflipnote channel, and therefore the entire Flipnote world he originated from. Brombus has become too powerful. He defies providence, he defies creation, he defies his landlord. And yet, he still loses to Goku.